What is up, all you individuals out there? It's me, full-time anime man, and I would just like to wish everyone a happy new year. 2020 was really a hard time, but hopefully 2021 could bring us a brighter future. Okay, but here is the new story, and I've decided to change the name of it thanks to someone. I don't remember his name, but I'm pretty sure I'll put it on the screen sometime after I'm editing this video. I decided to change the name to the story, What If Deku Was a Storm Wolf? Now, I just thought that in my head over and over again, and I just thought, that actually does sound a lot better than Lightning Wolf. So, I decided to go with that. Also, I decided to change Inko's quirk from levitation to a werewolf woman. Hmm. In this story, Izuku will be born a half-brother of Kaminari. They will both grow up learning to love the same thing, but having not only the love of heroes, but their equal love of women. And, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this story. But before I do, if this video gets 100 likes, I will continue this What If. But with that out of the way, this is What If Deku Was a Storm Wolf, Part 1. Hope you all enjoy. In this story, Izuku will be born adjacent of a Kaminari. Let me explain. So far in the show, we don't exactly know the names of Denki's parents, and it is because of that reason I will be referring to them as mother and father in this story. The story will start as Izuku Midoriya, soon to be Izuku Kaminari, is going to be a half-brother to Denki, and here's how it will go. One night, the father was at a bar with a friend. Having a little too much to drink, he then got drunk. The father then spotted a woman with dog-like ears, but a beautiful human face, along with a beautiful figure. He found her attractive enough to want to sleep with her. After the encounterment, the father woke up to a horrible discovery of the same woman he was with that night in her bed. The father thought about his current wife, who is currently 1 month pregnant, and how she would react about this. The father decided to keep it a secret for now, for the moment just didn't felt right. Izuku will be born 1 month after Kaminari's birth. The way that the mother will find out about the affair is that one night, while she was caring for her child in her bedroom, her husband, who was asleep at the time, got a message notification on his phone. The mother's curiosity gets the best of her. She takes her husband's phone and reads the message. It reads, "Dear father, your son has been born, and he has your eyes. I'm going to name him Izuku. I can't wait for you two to meet." The mother was very angered by this and expelled the father from her very home. But one night, something happened. One night, while the wolf woman and her baby were asleep, there was a conflict going on outside between a police officer and a man with a fire quirk who had just robbed a store. The police officer was pursuing this man through block after block. The man was getting tired of running and got an idea to cause a diversion. Looking to a small house, the man used his fire quirk to set the house aflames, while saying, "Let me ask you something, copper. Are you going to keep chasing me, or are you going to save these people's lives?" The man then ran, leaving the cop to think. The cop stops and looks to the house that is catching fire, and the man began to hesitate for a second. The officer then chose to pursue the man, leaving the people inside to burn. Unfortunately, this was the house of Inko Midoriya. The wolf mother wakes up with heavy coughing, while black smoke overflows her house. She looks out her open bedroom door and sees that fire is spreading through a majority of her house. She quickly gets out of bed and runs to her baby's room to get him. But as she gets closer to the room, the house began to fall apart around her. As she gets closer, She can hear Izuku's cries. She opens the door to see her son screaming and squirming in his bed. She quickly pulls Izuku from his bed and quickly heads towards the exit. But then, before she knew it, the roof collapsed, landing on top of her. She quickly prepared for the impact as she held her baby out so that he wouldn't get crushed along with her. She coughed and gagged as the pressure on her back was too heavy. The house continued to fall around her, and as her baby cried, she screamed for help, for anyone to come and rescue her baby. And after a few seconds, she was about to accept her fate, but she was willing to do anything for her baby to be safe. It looked like there was no hope for both of them. That was until Father entered the burning home, rushing through the house. He came across Inko and her child. Her eyes widen as she raises her child up to Father, saying, "Here, take him." Father quickly grabbed the crying baby. He then looked down to Inko. He wanted to try and get her out of the rubble, but she screamed back to him, saying, "No, there's no time. Just get him out of here." Tears began to fall down her face. Father knew there was no chance of saving her, but before he could leave, he lowered her child down to her and said, "One last kiss." Inko then quickly kissed Izuku and said, "I love you, Izuku. You be a good boy." Father then ran out of the front door as the rest of the house began to fall to the ground. Father then looked back to the crumbling house as tears ran down his face. A few minutes later, the police, fire department, and ambulances arrive, but they were too late. After some time, the firemen quickly put out what was left of the fire and found Inko's body charred and burned. Father, while speaking to the police about what happened, still holds his second son in his arms, and after a few minutes, a police officer approaches him. "Okay, Father, unfortunately, the woman didn't survive, so I'm sorry about that. And we looked into the system. That's her child. Is he yours as well?" The father then replies with, "Yes, he is." "Oh, well, that's unfortunate. We looked into your records too, and you're not eligible to take care of this child. Is there someone else who can?" Father can only think of one person. Back to the house of his wife, he knocks on the door. She comes to the door, looks through the peephole, and sees that it's him. "What do you want?" said the mother. "Please, I need your help. Inko had just recently passed away, and Izuku doesn't have anyone else." The mother then replied with, "So, it's not my problem. Hun, they won't let me take custody of him because of my past incident. If I don't find someone to take him, he'll be put into foster care. I can't think of anyone else but you. Please, I need you to adopt him." After a few minutes of silence, the mother speaks over the door. "Why did you do it?" The father then leans his back against the door while sliding down it, saying, "I'm sorry. I just lost myself. I had too much to drink and I just didn't care. When I came to, I instantly regretted, but I can't undo what I've done. I love you and Kaminari, but now I have another son, and I love him too. You, Kaminari, and Izuku are both my world. Izuku needs us. Please." The mother then opened the door to father falling on his back on the ground. Looking up to his wife while on the ground, she then speaks. "Okay, but right now, I just can't look at you. I'll adopt Izuku, but I expect your help on raising both of these children." Thank you, said the father. After some time, the mother adopted Izuku, and after some more time passed by, she immediately grew a bond to him. And for the past 4 years, the boys, Izuku and Kaminari, have grown a brotherly bond towards each other and shared their equal likings of heroes and women. Izuku doesn't know about his mother's incident and her death. They decided to keep it a secret from him to spare his feelings. And so, with the opening out of the way, here's the story of what if Deku was a storm wolf. One day at the park, Izuku and Kaminari were playing in the sandbox, but at one point, Denki spotted Izuku's clothes on the ground with a small wolf cub next to the discarded clothing. Denki then made his way to the small animal. He looked into the eyes and he knew that those were his brothers, Izuku's. Denki then says, "Izuku? Is that you? Wow, you're a wolf! Your quirk, it activated! This is so cool. I actually have a puppy brother. Here, come on, let's show Mom this." Both of the boys, well, in this case, the boy and his wolf, then made their way to their mother sitting on the park bench with earphones inserted into her ears. Izuku was right behind Denki when all of a sudden Izuku was pulled by the tail and picked up by the back of his neck while crying out loud. Another kid with spiky blonde hair commented on how he saw Izuku's transformation and says, "Oh wow, I've never seen a quirk activation in action before. I gotta say, I'm not impressed." Denki then turned around, hearing his brother's cry, coming to his brother's defense, saying, "Hey, put him down, that's my brother." The spiky-headed boy was accompanied by two other kids, one with big red wings and the other one with expendable fingers. The blonde-headed boy speaks. "You're telling me that this freak is your brother? Tell me, can he do tricks like a dog should? Are you a dog too?" he asked Kaminari. "Hey, do you want a biscuit?" that he asked Izuku. Izuku cries out loud. Denki grows angry from this boy's mean words and what he's saying about his brother. He speaks with anger in his voice while walking towards the blonde-headed boy holding his wolf brother. "I said, let him go!" Denki then punches the blonde-headed boy on the side of his face, making him drop Izuku. Denki picks up his wolf pup brother and slowly walks back while holding his brother in his arms. A wound can be seen on the blonde-headed boy's cheek. He then speaks while rubbing the one side that Denki punched him on. "You're gonna regret that, you bastard." Denki then started running towards their mother with Izuku in his arms, but he was tripped by the boy with stretchy fingers grabbing him by the leg, making him fall over. All three boys then ran towards for an attack. Denki, being the big brother he is, protected Izuku, shielding him with his body. All the three boys began to kick and stomp at Denki's back. Izuku sees his brother's face. He knows that he is in very much pain. As the bullies continue, Denki speaks. "It's okay, Izuku. I'll protect you no matter what." Izuku is crying from his brother's words, when all of a sudden, Denki began to glow a bright yellow light. And the light that was going from Denki spread it to Izuku. All three bullies sees this, and they slowly back up as the light began to expand bigger and bigger, until all of a sudden, the three bullies were knocked back by what they think was a shockwave. The blonde-headed boy was the first to sit up. He then looked and saw the two boys that they were beating on, standing up. Denki, while in a fighting stance, and Izuku in a crouching attack. Both of the boys' bodies were visibly coated by yellow lightning. While that was happening, yellow lightning began to fall from the sky, slowly circulating the two boys. After the shockwave, the mother saw the two boys in their Quirk awakened state, slowly making their way towards them. The bullies then ran away. The mother then speaks. Denki, what's the matter? Denki then looks to his mother and then looks to the bullies. He speaks. They were gonna hurt Izuku, Mom. I couldn't let them do that. The mother then looks around in confusion and says, Where is your brother, Denki? Denki then looked down to Wolfie Izuku, who is still crouched down, ready for a fight to happen. Denki then kneels down to Izuku and rubs his head and comforts him. The mother is in so much disbelief, and she speaks. Look, boys, I don't quite understand what's going on, but you boys need to stop this. You might end up hurting someone. Izuku and Denki look to each other. Denki speaks. We don't know how to stop it. The mother then speaks up. It's okay. I'm going to try something. Just stay calm, okay? Denki and Izuku nod their heads in agreement. The mother slowly approaches both the boys. Denki and Izuku grow worried. Denki speaks. Mom, no, the lightning might hurt you. No, said the mother. Remember, stay calm. The boys take deep breaths, and the lightning began to slowly lift as she gets closer and closer. She is now within arm's reach of the boys. She kneels down to their level on both of her knees and extends her arms out towards the two children and says, Okay, now this part is up to you. Come here. The boys' bodies are still visibly coated with lightning coursing through their bodies. Denki then said, Denki and Izuku are really hesitant and says, but the lightning, the electricity, it could hurt you. The mom then speaks, then don't let it. The boys then slowly walk into their mother's arms, hugging her, hoping that the electricity is stopped. Both Denki and Izuku tightly closes their eyes, and after a few seconds, still as a wolf, Izuku speaks, while still in his wolf form. Mom, are you okay? The mom then responds back saying, Yeah, it's okay now. Both of the boys then look up to their mother and sees that a majority of her hair is lifting into the air. They both give out laughing. The mother then speaks. What's so funny? Denki then says, Your hair, it's floating. They all give out laughing, and after some time, Izuku changed back into a boy, and they all arrive at the hospital to get Izuku and Denki looked at about their quirks. Denki speaks. Oh man, this is so cool. We got our quirks on the same day. We know what you got, bro, but what about me? The mother then speaks. Well, Denki, from what I saw, it looks like you both have your father's quirk. Looks like you both display powerful electrical quirks. But Izuku was confused. How come he changed into a wolf and not just have electricity powers? He was very curious, but he was too excited about having powers to care at the moment. The doctor enters the room and sits down. Hello there. So, after doing test after test, we have discovered that Denki and Izuku do indeed have very powerful quirks. Denki speaks. Hey, Izuku, do you think I could go first? Izuku then says, Yeah, I want to know what you can do. The doctor smiles and says, Well, Denki, you got an electrification quirk. You see, his body can hold electricity, but he does have a limit. You see, Denki can absorb a lot of energy and can shoot out hundreds, possibly even millions of volts if he trains properly. But if he overuses the energy he absorbed, he tends to, well, how do I say this nicely? Zone out for about an hour, or at least until he gets more energy. Izuku then speaks. Oh wow, that's so cool. Hey Doc, what about me? What do I have? The doctor then turns to face Izuku, and after a few seconds of going over his notes, he then speaks. Oh, oh wow, this is truly amazing. It shows here that you have two quirks, Izuku. It says here that you have a half wolf quirk. That being said, you could change in and out of a wolf at will, and having this makes you stronger, faster, and it even increases your human senses, such as your strength, agility, and even your sight and hearing. As for your other quirk, it's a little different. It's actually stronger than electricity. Izuku, you have a lightning quirk. The doctor turns to face the mother and says, are you aware that people hold a light positive charge in their bodies? Yes, I do. Well, Izuku has both positive and negative electrons. The very same thing that occurs during a thunderstorm. It's truly something powerful. Basically, Denki is like a low energy car battery, and Izuku can provide him with electricity if he needs be it. He basically has unlimited energy. But there's a small problem though. You see, since Izuku is always filled with energy, that could potentially make him an insomniac. He may never sleep again. Izuku was a bit sad that he wouldn't be able to sleep again, but then he thought of something that cheered him up a bit. And the more he works, the better the world he can create for the people. The doctor continues to speak. But there's more. Izuku can use both lightning as in his human form and his wolf form. At the same time, if he does this while in his wolf form, he could be even faster than the speed of light. And if he exercises, he could make his powers much more stronger. Both Denki and Izuku are excited to have their godlike abilities. After they arrive home, the boys talk about the future. Denki speaks. Man, I'm so excited. I can't wait to become the next #1 hero and get all the girls. Izuku speaks, saying, I don't think so. If anyone's going to be the next #1 hero and get all the babes, it's me. Denki then turns to his brother, smiling, and says, is that so? Well then, how about this? The first person to get stronger with his quirk is the best, and will, without a doubt, become the next #1 hero. Izuku walks up to Denki and says, okay, I'm in. But on one condition. Denki then says, oh, and what's that? We never let any obstacle of life come between us. We will be there for not only the people of Japan, but for ourselves. Let's make a bond that we will always be there for each other, no matter what. Deal? Denki smiles and shakes Izuku's hand while saying, deal. All of a sudden, while still shaking hands, they give out a large volt of electricity that blacks out everything in the house. Izuku speaks. Sorry, Mom. I think that was me. We then skip 10 years into the future. Izuku and Denki are sitting in class. The teacher speaks. Now, I was going to have you all fill out a sheet of paper on what you wanted to do after school. A small grin then comes over the teacher's face. He then grabs the paper, throws it into the air, and says, but who am I kidding? I know you all want to be heroes. Everyone in class starts using their quirks, erupting with joy. So does Izuku and Denki, letting out a couple of volts of electricity in their hands. One student with spiky blonde hair speaks up. Hey, Teach, don't let me in with these bunch of losers. For all I know, they'll be a sidekick to some sort of busted D-lister or something. But I know one thing's for sure is that I'm the only one who qualifies for UA. Everyone in classroom starts yelling at Bakugo, saying, one student then says, "Oh yeah, you think you're better than us?" Another student then
says, "Yeah, I'll take you right now."
The young blonde then retaliated, saying, "Oh please, I'll take you all right now." The teacher then speaks up, saying, Now, class, calm down, no Quirk usage in class." The teacher then reads over the papers and says, "Yeah, it does look like here you want to attend for UA. Hi, Bakugo." It also shows here that the Kaminari brothers have signed up for UA as well. Everyone turns to face Izuku and Denki. One student speaks up, "Those two? I heard about them. They're inseparable." Another student then speaks out saying,
"I heard one of them was the son of Zeus, the god of thunder."
Another student says, "Their quirks are so strong." Bakugo grows irritated of all the attention that the Kaminari brothers are getting. After class, Izuku and Denki were talking about training. Izuku says, "Do you think you could take in more energy this time?" Denki then responds back saying, "Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's go." They were about to head out the door until they were stopped by Bakugo and two other boys. Denki and Izuku are on their guard, getting ready for whatever comes next. Bakugo speaks. "Listen, I don't care about how powerful you claim you two are. I'm the only person who is qualified to go to UA. So, do yourselves a favor and don't even bother showing up to the entrance exams. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to do something I'll regret." A few seconds of silence goes by, and Denki then decides to speak. "You know, for a guy who wants to be a hero, your attitude is going to get you nowhere. I mean, threatening us? That's very low of you, Bakugo. Much lower than back in the days when you harassed me and my brother because his quirk was different. But I guess that day, it wasn't so bad. After all, you helped me kickstart my quirk." Heh, kick. "So, I guess I have you to thank for that. Also, me and my brother are going to the entrance exams in 10 months, so you can't stop us. And if you try anything, what happened back in the playgrounds will happen again, but this time it will be much worse. So if you boys would kindly move out of the way, me and my brother have some training to do." Both of Bakugo's friends decide to step aside. Bakugo is still in the way, angrily, while clenching his fists. Denki then covers his body in electricity and says, "Is there a problem?" This goes on for about 10 seconds, but Izuku puts a hand on his brother's shoulder and says, "Let's just go." He pulls Denki out of Bakugo's eyesight, and they both make their way out of the classroom, away from the tense situation. Bakugo continues to stand there, shaking in anger. But while outside, Izuku and Denki are making their way to their training ground. Izuku stops, and so did Denki. Izuku then speaks. "Brother, are you okay?" "Yeah, I think back to that day all the time, and it still makes me angry. They were about to hurt you just because you were different." Izuku puts a hand on his shoulder and comforts him, saying, "It's okay. One day we'll show Bakugo we're 10 times stronger than him. But for now, you need some energy after displaying your powers for Bakugo. And then we can go get started on our training." Denki then smiles and says, "Yeah, you're right. But save your energy until we get to our training grounds." Denki then feels around in his pockets looking for something. "Ah, shoot." "What's wrong?" asked Izuku. "I just remembered I left my portable charger at home." "Do you think you can run home and go get it for me? You're definitely faster than me. And I'll meet you back at our spot." in an hour. Okay, said Izuku. I'll meet you there. Izuku then runs home to go get his brother's thing. Izuku thought to himself, I think I'll try different routes. I think I'll go down this way just to get there quicker. Izuku runs down a dark tunnel. He is halfway across and he passes a sewer lid. And from it, he heard rumbling noises and stopped to investigate it. When all of a sudden, the lid bursted up from the ground, ricocheting off from the walls left to right. And at one point, it nearly hit Izuku, but his fast reflexes helped him dodge it. And after a few seconds, it stops. The lid landed on the ground a couple of feet away from him. When all of a sudden, green ooze began to spill from the sewers. Izuku says, "Ew, gross," and starts walking off. The ooze then started moving and grabbed Izuku by his left leg. Izuku looks back in shock and says, It's alive?" The mysterious ooze grew bigger and bigger with each passing second. Then it grabbed Izuku's arms and his other leg, wrapping his body around so that he couldn't escape, making it hard for him to move. The ooze then looks to Izuku with both of its eyes. It speaks. "Let me use your body, kid. He's coming this way." The ooze then gets closer and closer to Izuku's face, trying to force his way inside of Izuku's mouth. But then Izuku said something that threw the monster off. "Step off, bastard." All of a sudden, Izuku's body was covered by lightning, and he let out a bolt of lightning on the sludge villain, slowly charring it and burning it. And after a few seconds, Izuku rendered it unconscious. Wiping what's left of the ooze off of his clothes, he then walks away. But he was stopped when he heard a voice. "Have no fear, for I am here. Now prepare yourself, you vile All Might then stopped when he saw the sludge villain was already defeated, with a young man standing right next to it. "Well, that was unexpected." Izuku starts freaking out, saying, "Oh my gosh, All Might, I never thought I'd get the day to see you." "Man, me and my brother are big fans of yours. Let me go ahead and tell you that right now." All Might then says, "Ha ha, well, it's always nice to meet a fan nowadays." All Might then says to Izuku, "Are you okay? He didn't hurt you, did he?" Izuku then responds back saying, "No, it's fine. He wanted to use my body to hide from you, so I had no choice but to use my quirk in self-defense." "That's fine. That's all that matters, is self-defense. I must ask, what is your quirk?" Izuku is excited that his favorite hero wants to know about him, and so he explains, saying, "Well, I have two quirks. I have an electrical storm quirk, and I can turn into a wolf in and out of will." All Might then says, "So, you have two quirks. That's very rare. Well, if you don't mind, I need to detain this villain. Do you mind standing back?" "Oh, yeah, of course," said Izuku. All Might then began to gather the sludge villain and placing him inside of a bottle. And after some time, he is done. Izuku asks All Might for an autograph. All Might obliges and signs Izuku's notebook. All Might then says, "Well, duty calls. I'll see you later, young one." All Might then jumps off while Izuku waves in goodbye. A few seconds later, All Might landed on top of a roof. He looked around, making sure that he was in the clear. When he was positive that no one was around, a cloud of smoke overlapped his body, and a small, thin, and, need I say, weak version of All Might appears from the smoke. He walks down the stairs that led to the exit of the building. While outside, the man then adjusted his pants because they felt loose around his waist. and his pockets were open. And at one point, that once was All Might's figure then stumbled forward, while the bottle with the monster in it then fell out of his pocket. It rolled next to Kaminari, who was still walking to the training grounds to meet with his brother. Denki sees the bottle with the green ooze in it and tries to put it in the trash. He was about to throw it away, but then the bottle shook, scaring the young boy, making him drop it. The bottle then cracked. On the side, slowly the ooze began to leak from it. And the monster then stood again, standing over the young Denki. Denki looked up with terror in his eyes. "I need a hostage," said the ooze monster. We then fade to black. Izuku is still thinking about his encounterment with All Might. "Oh man, my brother isn't gonna believe this." Izuku stops because he has a weird feeling in his chest that something isn't right. All of a sudden, Izuku hears a woman screaming in the distance. Izuku ran towards the noise. He came across the very woman who was screaming and said, "Ma'am, what's going on? There's a man back there a few blocks that way. He has a hostage. I think he's gonna hurt him." Izuku runs in the direction of the situation. He hears more noises and more people screaming when he came across a group of people overcoating an alley. Izuku gets closer and sees the same sludge monster from before, but this time he's cornered by other pro heroes. Izuku asks one stranger, "What's going on?" One stranger then says, "That villain's got a hostage. He was making him shoot electricity, but I think he made him pass out." Izuku looks closer and sees his brother Denki in the villain's grasp. Izuku's eyes widen. Why does he have my brother? And why aren't the heroes doing anything? The sludge villain speaks. "Don't try anything, otherwise this boy gets it." Izuku grows angry. His brother was there with him through thick and thin, and now somebody dared threaten to hurt him? Without even a second thought, Izuku ran in to save his brother, but he was grabbed by his arm by one of the pro heroes. Death arms. "Just what do you think you're doing? You trying to get yourself killed, kid? Stay back!" While still in Death Arm's grip, Izuku looks to his passed out brother and says, "Nobody hurts my brother!" Izuku then elbows Death Grips in his ribs, and he was free from him. He then ran towards the villain and his brother. Izuku then embraces Denki, while the sludge villain covered both Izuku and Denki's bodies. Izuku quickly gives Denki energy. "Come on, brother, wake up." Izuku gives him more and more energy to snap him out of it. Denki then wakes up saying, "Bro, what's going on?" We're in a bit of trouble right now," said Izuku. "We're currently stuck inside of a sludge villain, and he's trying to suffocate us." "Holy moly! What do we do?" asked Denki. "What do you say we end this with our special move?" Denki smiles in agreement and says, "Let's do it." Izuku reaches over to his brother. With his right arm, he touches Denki's right shoulder, while Denki reaches over with his left arm and touches Izuku's left shoulder. The two boys then repeatedly send energy through each other, and they both start glowing a bright yellow light. Bits and pieces of the light can be seen shining throughout the sludge villain. People's eyes widen from it, wondering what's going on. All Might even comes to the scene. What is happening? After a few seconds, Izuku and Denki's special move is ready. All set, said Izuku. Are you ready? Denki then responds back, saying, I'm ready. Izuku then said, I'll give it a little. Denki then said, and I'll give it a lot. Both of the boys then said at the same time while yelling, Of what? Special Brother Beam Cannon! All of a sudden, the sludge villain began to burst with a bright light of energy heading towards the sky. When the sludge villain popped like a balloon, both of the Kaminari brothers can be seen, with Izuku raising his left hand into the air while Denki raises his right hand into the air. They're both covered in light that reaches space. And after a few seconds, they both stop, and the sludge villain was rendered unconscious again. The two boys, still standing, gives out a breath of relief. Izuku speaks. I think that time, it really worked out. Yeah, I think so too, said Denki. Everyone in the crowd, including the pro heroes and All Might, all are flabbergasted about what just happened. They all stand as it begins to rain. All of a sudden, Denki then fell asleep from overusage of his quirk, while Izuku sits there holding his brother tightly. The pro heroes, along with All Might and the police, approach the boys. The police and All Might are collecting what's left of the sludge villain. Denki was taken to the hospital to be looked over just in case of injuries. While the pro heroes chastised Izuku for his reckless involvement, Izuku grows angry by what the heroes were saying to him about how he was being reckless, but they were just standing there, not doing anything. If Izuku hadn't intervened, who knows what that monster would have done to his brother. And they're saying what he did was wrong? Izuku takes a deep breath and says, Why didn't you do anything? The heroes just stand there, unsure of what to say. Izuku continues to speak. Because from what I've seen, there were plenty of opportunities for you all to take action, but you didn't. You just stood there. So I had to save my own brother, because clearly none of you were brave enough to do so. They all stood there in silence. A police officer then approaches Izuku and then says, Young man, you're under arrest for the assault of a pro hero. The officer is referring to when Izuku elbowed Death Arms in his ribs. Izuku doesn't say anything and follows the police officer to his car. He was about to sit down in the car until a civilian who saw the whole thing spoke up. The woman then says, Wait, why are you putting that young man in your car? The police officer explains about what happened. But the crowd was not having any of it. One man then speaks up saying, That young man saved that other young man's life. If I heard him right, that was his brother, right? Izuku nodded his head, saying yes to the question. The crowd grows even more wild. The police officer speaks, Look, I'm just doing my job. He assaulted a pro hero. He needs to face the consequences. Another person speaks, Oh, just your job, right? Well, he's not in handcuffs. Did you read him his Miranda rights? Well, no, but you can't do this then. A man speaks, I'm sorry, but if someone tried to stop me from saving my brother, then clearly we're gonna have problems. All the people surrounding the officer then chanted, Let him go! Let him go! Let him go! All Might then walked up to the cop and said, Don't worry, officer. I'll make sure he gets home safely. Izuku looks up in amazement that all these people are coming to his defense. The officer sees that there is no other way out and lets Izuku go. The crowd then begins to cheer for the young man, saying he did a great job. And then another person said, You're a true hero to your brother and to us. All Might then puts a hand on Izuku's shoulder and they start walking home. A few minutes after walking, All Might speaks. Young man, I heard about what those people said back there. You ran in to save your brother, and someone tried to stop you, but you kept going anyway. Izuku nodded his head, saying, Yeah, I did. That's incredible. Young man, I would like to train you, and if you would like to, your brother can join as well. Izuku says, Oh wow, really? You'll train me and my brother? All Might then says, It'd be my honor, but there's something I need to tell you, and I don't want you to find out any other way. All Might then looks around, making sure no one sees this, and then all of a sudden, All Might's body was covered by smoke. Izuku gives out a couple of coughs and gags, and when the smoke clears, a man wearing All Might's clothes enters Izuku's sight. Izuku starts freaking out, saying, Who are you? Where's All Might? The man then said, Shh, kid, calm down. I am All Might. It's just 5 years ago, one of my enemies destroyed my respiratory system. The man then showed Izuku his horrific scar on the side of his stomach. Izuku gasps from how big the scar was. He speaks. There's another reason you're showing and telling me all this, isn't it? Yes, said the man. By the way, my name is Toshinori. Izuku introduces himself. I'm Izuku Kaminari. Well, young Kaminari, I would like to offer you my quirk, one for all. Izuku's eyes widen in surprise. Your quirk? And that's the end of What If Deku Was a Storm Wolf. Thank you for watching this video, and if you made it to the end of this video, consider yourselves #blessed, and I hope everyone has a nice day, and I hope they have a nice new year. If you have a New Year's resolution, comment it down below. I'd like to know what it is. And I would like to wish everyone a good night. Bye-bye.